Hello, and you're welcome to today's session. Yes, it is Tuesday Live. Five most important decisions you can make as a parent. I see you guys, I see you already seated and watching. Share this link with your family and your friends. Let's get digging into this conversation already today. All right. What are the five most important decisions you can make as a parent? Hmm. I'm sure that you're wondering, what are these five things? What are these, what are these things that coach is about to share? Number one thing that you need to know, are you ready? Let me see you in the comment section if you're ready with this. If you're ready with this. Number one decision a parent, right, must make that will make impact on the life of their child is discipline and value. Deciding on your parenting style, deciding on the values you want to instill in your child, this decision is a core decision for you and your child. When I say discipline and value, I'm sure a lot of people are, wondering and listening to me as per this is something that, discipline and value is just going to be one of those things, right? How to beat your child, how to discipline, how to make them kneel down when they do what is wrong. But I'm coming, that's not what it is. Are you here? If you can hear me, you can see me. Let me see your comment in the comment section. Hi, mom. And my mom is here. Yep, as usual. So let me see your comment in the comment section. Hey, Mrs. Smart says red. No, 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 I'll come today. Let me see your comment in the comment section to tell us, all right, that you can see me and that you can hear me. Okay, so number one, who got number one? So let's get rolling. Let's get rolling. All right. Boom, boom, boom. We said discipline and value. Now, very many of the times, Dr. Happiness, I see you, Bumi, Debbie, Wumi. Very many of the times, we find that when it comes to parenting, discipline and value is a core aspect of our journey. However, I have come to realize that we don't even understand what discipline is. I am going to explain. So every time that I have been in a session where I'm telling a parent, I need you to make decisions on discipline. I hear, things like, I discipline my children very well. I have values. They know my values. I'm a Christian and and all of that. And then it just flies over the roof and parents actually never get to pay attention. Now, when I'm talking about discipline, I am talking about you. I'm actually not talking about your child. I'm talking about the decisions that you're making. Remember, not the decisions your child will make. The decisions you make that will become either an advantage or a disadvantage to your child. So, when I'm talking about discipline, this would include number one, your parenting style. Do you know that your parenting style is a result of how disciplined or not disciplined you are? Yep. So people tell me, "Oh, that's how I was raised." Oh, and when you actually dig deep into the conversations of how you were raised, you find out that the parenting style, right, is not about your child. It's actually about you. And the consequences of every parenting style will affect your child eventually. So, your parenting style is part of discipline. Many times we just want to do what works for us. Somebody said this Tuesday, don't read. We just want to do what works for us. And in that what works for us, I see a lot of lack of discipline. you find out that you don't want to do what is right, right? Because it makes you uncomfortable. Because you're going to move from the familiar to the unfamiliar place. Because you can't put yourself in the place where you really need to bring yourself under. So, our discipline actually consists of just whatever makes us comfortable. So, you are just doing sometimes I do what works for you. Don't come and teach me how it is that I want to parent my child. If parenting is convenient for you, for me, it is how let just do your own, let me do my own. Once that parenting sounds like that, there's a problem. Quote me anywhere. When it comes to your parenting style, like I said, it is part of the discipline process. It includes finding what will help a child thrive. And many times, what will help a child thrive is not what is working for you. That's why you hear parents say, oh, I want to actually leave a particular country because of my child. Check it. Many times, it's not really about the child. So, your parenting style is a core determining factor to what happens to your child and is a part of your discipline process. So, what style are you using? Is it making your child thrive? Is a core decision, is a determining factor to who your child becomes. Your parenting style. So every time I have seen parents tell me, oh, that's my style, that's what it is I saw my parents do, I see people who are not really thinking through their process. It is discipline to be able to hold yourself accountable to your process, especially what is not convenient. So, discipline is not a convenient place. Discipline is a place of putting yourself under and holding yourself accountable to a standard that is bigger than you. So, that's a determining factor. Discipline. Discipline is part of your parenting style is part of your discipline. The second part, the second part of your discipline is the systems that you have. The systems that you have created. Many times I see discipline fail often because of the systems we have failed to build or the systems that we have built we've not followed. So when you want to teach discipline, right, you want to first of all ask yourself, am I a disciplined parent? So I wrote the book, Discipline is Not an Emergency, and it's a core to am I a disciplined parent? See, discipline is not a child's problem, it's a parent's problem. I say that again. Discipline is not a child's problem, it's a parent's problem. If you are listening to me and you're thinking that discipline, you're still where you're thinking discipline is me beating my child and my child obeying me, you missed it. So number one is your parenting style. Number two is your systems do you have in place, right? That is building whatever it is that is sustainable. My child cannot listen to me. My child is not doing what is right. My child, look at it. You have created a system in your parenting journey that can't hold. So I want you to start to look at you as a system. You, the parent. You start to look at you as a system. See, until you get this system part, you're going to continue to struggle on parenting. So when I wrote the book, Discipline is Not an Emergency, and I took it from the 5 aspects of discipline: skills, structures, systems, and many times we actually think that discipline is what you do to a child. No, discipline is what you do to yourself to produce result. That's what discipline is. So all these, I'm disciplined, right? I'm doing this and that, that I know. You need to consider yourself a system. That's what discipline is. And so it's just like when you go to school. When you go to school, they say you pass through school, school will pass through you. When you say there's a way people here in this system behave. So a system is a curriculum. Are you guys ready for this class? I'm really trying. A system is a curriculum. So I've dumped my notes and I'm just sharing with you from my head. It's one of those classes, yeah? A system is a curriculum. Are you a curriculum to that parenting structure that you're building? So, what curriculum do you have? So, I say that you are a school. Your children are the students and they are studying you. You are a whole curriculum. The point will be, what is the content of that curriculum? It's very easy to just say, oh, my child is not behaving well. Oh, my child is this. Oh, my child is that. Oh, this has happened to my child and all of that. Have you checked the content of the curriculum you have brought into your parenting system? What's the curriculum that you have? It might not look like it, but you are the daily scripture your children are reading. I've said every time that children connect with God the way their father had connected with them. You know how we are Christians, you see, some people think that God is one wicked father. Some people think that God is just one, somebody you can talk to. A lot of us think that God is somebody that, will whoop you. This guy bring one cane and just flog you. It is in our connection with the scriptures we read. I've been saying that we are scriptures. Delilah was a scripture in the scripture. Eve was a scripture in the scripture. Jezebel was a scripture in the scripture. We are scriptures. We are scriptures. So it is that scripture. If you are a scripture, your child is reading that scripture. So it's very easy to say, in my house, we're very spiritual people. I have done spiritual rubbish. You are the scripture. Your children will only be able to connect to that scripture you present to them through you. Through you. So, what is the content of that curriculum you're building, which is your system? There are different parts to a system, but I'm going to stop at curriculum. Anything that passes through a curriculum becomes that curriculum, whether intentionally or unintentionally. Many of us became our parents unintentionally. You don't like it, you don't want it, but that's the curriculum you have been passed through. You do not have a choice. You do not have a choice. So you become that curriculum. If you want to change anything in life, pass it through a curriculum. And that thing takes a turn. Because culture, curriculum, communication, And this thing that you have in the home is a determining factor, and content is a determining factor, right? Is a determining factor to everything that happens to you as a human being. So the curriculum that you're building. So even before you become a parent, the decision of your discipline and value is yours. So anytime people tell me, oh, my children are this, they are not disciplined, how do I get them to be disciplined? I don't know how to answer that question. I've never known how to answer that question. Because we have a whole lot of indisciplined people raising children who you want them to become disciplined. So we have faulty systems, very faulty systems. And that's why I was listening to, I think that was Pastor Femi Lazarus the other day, right? And he was trying to say, right, that what you see in our society today, in the Nigerian government, is how our families run. Go and take your time and study the Nigerian government. Go and take your time. Compare the Nigerian government with our homes, with our families. With our families. You find out that that is who we have become. That's who we are in our homes. Because anything that passes through whatever curriculum becomes that thing. And that's why I said that if we are going to actually change what is happening in the nation today, we have to rescript how we're raising children. If we don't rescript it, and when we are scripting this, thing, we need to script it using entertainment, using movies. The scripting is, in fact, the scripting is a core area of nations building. Scripting in parenting. So your discipline, I've said two things. I'm going to stop there because there's a lot under the discipline. And if we dwell on it, we're not going to move. Discipline, I talked about your parenting style. I talked about your systems. I wrote a whole part. It's not a chapter. If you've read the Independent Thinking Child, you know how a part is. I wrote a whole part on systems in my upcoming book, Discipline is Not an Emergency. And that book gives you insight to exactly what I'm sharing with you today. So, systems that you've created. Now, let's move to values. The values that you bring to the table, the values that, one of the things that decisions you need to make as a parent is the values. What are the values that you have? Remember that I said earlier that you are a scripture. 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 So it is that scripture that we're talking about. What is that thing? What is the value that you are putting out there? Now, it's your decision. Your curriculum can be everything. Your curriculum can be it can be anything. It can be the curriculum of that of Jezebel. It can be curriculum of that of Delilah. All of them were written in the scriptures. Every single one of them. And it's not true that the scriptures are final. Scriptures are being written today. They are being written today. You don't even, all those old the Bible are stories of men who walked with God. We have men who are working with God. Also have men who are working with Satan. Whichever way, there are scriptures being written every day. So what are the values that you're bringing on the table? So the 5 most important decisions you make as a parent are the values that you bring to the table. I often say that if you say, this parenting self, forget it, it's nothing changes. You just become a parent, I just want to be who I am. Be yourself. All those things that you people say. Be yourself. It doesn't matter. Don't allow anybody to whatever shame you. Don't allow anybody. is the curriculum you build. That is what your, that is what you are showing out there. So what curriculum, what values, what will be inside that curriculum as the values that you're putting on the table? You must make that decision first, even before you become a parent. And if you're already a parent, this is a place where you draw back. Because a lot of the things that will happen to your child will be a determining values. Your values will be a determining factor. To be a determining factor. See, when you create, so your children are constantly walking through your systems. They're constantly walking through your system. So when you have that system, they are walking through it, and there is really, you won't be pressured. You won't be pressured. This is an important aspect. I hope you understand this. Discipline and values. The next decision every parent must make is marriage decision. Marriage decision. So some of us will say, so what do you want us to do? I've already made the decision. My marriage is bad. I cannot face my children and forget about it. That decision is a making or breaking for your child. Your marriage is already a template for a failed marriage or a successful marriage for your child. So I often say that, you see the trend, the marriage is no longer working. I'll just face my children and just be there. It's a trend. Very dangerous one. We're raising children who are going to not just struggle with their marriages, but make a mess. Anything that you make optional in one generation becomes non-existent in the next. Working on your marriage is not an option. But when you make it optional, by the next generation, it becomes non-existent. I've heard a lot of parents tell me, this thing is just, I beg, it's not just marriage. I have my children, I can just continue. If you understand how much, time won't even permit me. If you understand how much your marriage plays as a role, as a distinct model to your children, I do not think you will make any decision that will actually make your marriage not become an edifice. Your marriage is the biggest, the biggest curriculum to what it is that becomes of your child tomorrow. If you have a marriage that is struggling, do everything in your power to work on it. That will be my advice today. So you see that I'm doing it for my children. That's why I just want to stay in a place where there is so much toxicity. I'm just going to just be there and just be raising my children anyhow. I'll just be in one corner. It is actually against your children. It might be an uncomfortable move. It might be a not so convenient move, but working on your marriage, to have a marriage your children can actually draw template for, is not an option. If you make it optional, by the next generation, it becomes non-existent. So your marriage is a determining factor. They are one of the most important decisions you must make as a parent. It brings out, it determines what happens in your generations and generations to come. If you look around you, you will see how the family is disintegrating. The family is disintegrating every day. Every day. And I see a lot of us, marriages, a lot of us now say things like, it's not just marriage. Marriage is not an achievement. If it's not working, you just stay there, raise your children, and just do your own thing. By the next generation, We're setting up a fire that will burn and burn, and we will not know how to quench it. Get your marriage working. Get your marriage working. Is a determining factor to the life your fifth generation will live when it comes to marital influence. I was teaching the parents in the inner circle about legacy, and I was saying that the instructions you give are legacies. The templates you create are legacies. The templates you create. So your marriage is part of the template that you're creating. It's a legacy. So legacy is not money. Legacy is not your child. Legacy is you. You are your own legacy. Nobody is your legacy. My child is my legacy. You're wrong. No, it's not true. You are your own legacy. And I'm sure that the parents in the inner circle get what I'm saying in this last part. Now you be the legacy yourself. What are the instructions? It is from that place, just decisions about your marriage. That's the only place you can actually create marriage plans. See, you can create whatever marriage plan, and there is no template for your children to draw from. It will be like water on rock. Your children are not going to be able to connect. So for you to create that marriage plan, the parents in the inner circle also understand what I'm saying. You need a template. A template. What is that template that they can draw from? So see, nothing happens in a vacuum. Nothing happens without a connect. There's no vacuum in the system of the world. There has to be something. And I keep saying that you cannot create an extraordinary without building on the ordinary. So the extras, we need to build on the ordinary. I was teaching the parents in the inner circle about the skills of extra. Yes, it's a skill to be able to draw and do something more. So the decision of what your marriage will look like, it's part of the template that you are going to give your children as a legacy. There is a legacy of good fatherhood in some families. Trust me when I say so. There's a legacy, right? There's a legacy of good parenting in some homes. It's a parenting advantage. What it will be, that legacy. The legacy that you're going to create. What will it be? If you are not able to connect, if that legacy is not able to connect, right? If that template is not able to connect with whatever plans you make, it's just going to be, it's going to be wavering. And if you understand this, then you will now understand the need of there is no marrying, he pleased thou me. I'm sure that I've spoken in Latin for those who are not in the inner circle. And that's where you can now create systems in the process of marriage that happens in your generation. Because, hey, kings do not marry slaves. I'm going to stop here. All right, let's go to the third one. The third one of the things that you must make important decision is education. See, when I talk about education, I'm not talking about school, far. Dr. Happiness. I'm not talking about school. I'm talking about the system of learning that you bring to the table. I'm talking about your life of learning that your children can see. I'm talking about the way you want to set up a family system that connects to building themselves. So I'm not saying what school should your child go to. A decision on education in the family, parents must make. You come to some places and they say, oh, the children are not learning, the children are not Children are not, no, it's not the children. There is a faulty foundation of what education is about in that home. It's an important decision you must make. How do we educate? How? What will education mean? How do you get into our space and it's a learning environment? How do you sit in our home and there is something happening? How do you teach at their teachable moments at every point in time? Is a decision you make. How do you absolve things that should be learned? Some people come to me and say, "Oh, my children will not read any book." And what's your value really placed on what a book should be? I remember so many years ago, our daughter was in grade 4 and had this series that she used to read. I think is Jekyll or something. And then we used to buy each of those series like 5,300 very, very many years ago. So you can imagine, right? And when we were, talking about, that with a parent, the parent was like, my daughter borrowed a book from your daughter. She said that that's the kind of book she likes to read. And the mom went, "Oh, my daughter doesn't read. She never reads. Oh, your daughter is better. You just said that it's your daughter that knows how to read." I was just looking at her. I said, "Ma, but you said that the book she collected, she liked it and she read it." She said, "Hey, that's the only thing she reads. Only first books. She said that first books are nice and interesting. Where do you now buy the books?" I said, "Okay, ma, let's go to where we buy the books." And then we went, climbed up to the place. I was going to shop that day. Then we climbed up in that, room, in that house, right, in that store. It's a whole floor of books. And then I picked the book. I said, "Ma, this is one of the series." And it was 5,300. She just said, "Is that how much you buy the book?" God forbid. I would never use that amount of money to buy a book. I didn't know what to respond to her. I said, "Okay." And she went downstairs and I saw that she got a wig. That wig couldn't have been more than less than 25K as at then. It's a simple wig, I guess. And I said, "Wow." She has just taught her child a very profound lesson without knowing it. She has given her child a template. And that template is going to be what will run throughout the life of the child. That child struggled to primary school. I don't know where they are. Throughout. Anything that you so it might not even be things that you saw intentionally. And I'm not sure she actually did that thing intentionally. She just, looked at it, 5,000. How can I use 5,000 and buy only one book? One book, children's book, safe. And then she went on and on and on and on and on. And then she, what you do, how you connect to your everyday life will be where I'm really trying to hold myself in this stream. And some of the things that I want to share are not Tuesday life shareable. Technical parents will collect from me at the next webinar. Anyway, I'll leave it there. How do you create a system that actually gets your children learning? What do you place priority on? How do you get them skilled up? Have they watched you? Look at the systems that you actually have created. So, education is not just about going to school. Growing up, my mom is here listening to me. We went to the state library every Saturday. It's interesting. We had an uncle, a relative, not an uncle really, a relative who was what's it called? He was a security man at the library. Every Saturday that we don't go to the library, he actually, comes to our house to come and ask why we didn't show up. It was a system of education. We were not reading school book. There was no school book. There were story books, all sorts of things. It was a system of education for us to travel when we were young. For my dad, traveling was a system of education. And for us, my husband and I today, traveling is a system of education in our home. So, what are the education process in your home? That's a decision you will need to make. We made our education decisions before we had the twins. So, this education decision will be a determining factor. So, I say that academics is a food, not something you pursue in intentional parenting. All right. So, um, Jenny said this is either second word, but I'm trying not to make it one, and I'm trying to keep it cool, calm, and collected. All right. So we talked about education. The next one is the communication decisions. I found that many of us were raised without understanding what it means to communicate. And that has resulted in the kind of families that we have created today. So, one of the core decisions you're going to make is the communication culture in your home. When you make it, you ask yourself, what do I need to do? I've said severally that my husband and I have attended communication classes every year. From the first time we got married in the first year, I realized that we were both bad communicators. My husband was a very good listener but couldn't speak. I was a very good talker but couldn't listen. It was going to ruin every other thing if we didn't make a right decision on what communication culture should hold in our home. Yesterday, we were sharing a series on my timeline on Facebook. We share that every evening, my husband and I. And I was, trying to recount how I was trying to say that we don't fight. When people say, "Oh, you must be married," if you say you don't fight, you're lying. I don't fight. We don't have fights. You're fighting. You're throwing bombs here. No, we disagree. We have conflicts. But trust me, we don't fight. There is no need to fight because we have been able to work on these things today. So there is a culture in our home. It has trickled down to our children. There are some things that don't happen in my home. Never. It's not because we are perfect. It's because there's a system. There's a communication system. There's a culture. Where will you get it from? People come and justify things. You normalize nonsense. And I call this fighting in marriage normalized nonsense. Oh, it's a lie. Anybody that says that their marriage is this thing, marriage is not a bed of roses. You put all sorts of things. Marriage is not a bed of roses. Marriage is not this thing. Marriage is not supposed to be this one. Marriage is not. What is that? These are all consequences of the decisions that you make as a parent. If you make a decision on how conflict should go, trust me, you will have a better system, including how you're talking to your children. People come and tell me, that's how I talk. That's how my parents talk. Did I die? You didn't die, but you died. It looks like you're alive, but you're not. You're not. You're overwhelmed with everything. You're stressed out with many things. You're struggling on many fronts. Even the parent himself, when you say you get template, you're struggling. Because according to you, you turned out okay, but you are not okay. You're not okay. So don't say, did I die? You died. When you actually analyze deaths, really, and look at the difference and the comparison, you see that you died. He said, oh, they spoke to us like that. Oh, my brother, did anything happen? I'm not going to beg all these things that you're saying. Oh, they are just saying it so that we will do this, so that we will do that, so that, come on. You can't connect with it because that's not where you are. So you can't connect with it. You can't connect with it. You're constantly going to argue things that looks impossible because of the way we are raised. Because you were raised in a dungeon. So you think that anybody who comes and says, I remember saying that my mom never beat me. My mom is here. And somebody said, that's a lie. She must be lying. I think all of us want to lie. I think all of us want to are interested in the lie. We're not. It is where you're coming from that determines how you actually speak of these things. It's where you're coming from. So I do not have that baseline of a child must be spoken to in a way, child must be beaten to do a child. I don't have that baseline. So I can't connect. And of course, you cannot connect, you have a baseline. And that's why I keep saying that there are generations, right? There are generations that you will pay a price that will. So you give your child a head start. So I don't have the template of it's compulsory to beat a child for the child to become successful. I don't have that template. So you see, it gives me an advantage. So while you're trying to work on the ordinary, I have moved from the ordinary because the ordinary is solved, and I moved to the extra. I don't have any business with that ordinary. So you're battling with that ordinary. That's where you are. And then you are now arguing that, meanwhile, we have a baseline that is faulty. We have a baseline that is faulty. What is that baseline? So, first of all, you even need to get yourself to the place where you are even learning, to even understand that this mindset in itself is a mindset that has messed our brain up. That's the first place. That's the first place. A mindset that has messed our brain up. Then from there, you now begin to throttle from your ordinary to your extras. So there are so many things that I want to share. I want to do this. I can't share it because you can't connect with it. It won't make sense. The ones that I'm already shared now, I've already said you don't need to fight in your marriage. Some people are already fighting themselves somewhere where they are. And say it's a lie. Oh, what she saying? Some people are even still fighting when I said my mother didn't beat me. Yeah. Some people are still shouting and say, it's a lie. There's no African parent that did not beat their child. You are from another place and from another place. That's the truth. So it is very important that we begin to even look at. So when we tell you, get into the academy, come and learn, we know what we're saying. The first place is even redefine your thinking. Redefine it first before you now start building on it. So we have all of those thinking, and that's why we focus on, mundane things. All right? We focus on things so you focus on things like, my children must obey me. If they don't obey me, my children need to be perfect. If they're not perfect, those, as good and as exciting as they sound, they are not the essence of parenting in the real terms of it. Don't get me wrong. An obedient child is awesome. A child that is this is amazing. But you can have all of these and there will be no impact. I have said severally that the conversation in parenting is not about righteousness and sin. It's about wisdom and foolishness. So many of us were raised to be righteous, even though I say hypocritically so. Let's not go into that. But yet, many of us in our righteousness are unskilled. Totally unskilled in our righteousness. And then we say things like, why do good people suffer? I've heard people say, I got married as a virgin. And when I got married, my marriage is not working. I know one girl on my street. She was a bad girl. Her marriage is working. The bad girl that is skilled. Because as far as the world is concerned, is skills that play and that deliver you. Righteousness will take you to heaven, no doubt. All of us are going to make heaven. I will. I don't know about you. But that is the core. That is the core. All right? That is the core. So while you're there, you say, why do it's just good people? Bad things will no. Bad things do not happen to good people. It's not about good or bad. It's about foolishness and wisdom. At every point in time where foolishness touches labor, it wearies you. It wearies you. At every point in time where foolishness touches labor, it wearies you. It doesn't matter whether you are righteous or you are a sinner. It's inconsequential, really. So these are the conversations. So you can see if you're that parent who's your pursuit, is hey, it is good people who are unskilled. It's not about good and bad. It's about skills. And goodness is not a skill. So how do you use it in comparison to anything? Righteousness in itself is also not a skill. Righteousness itself is also not a skill. I am not going to go there. The religious mind are going to start saying, "What is she saying?" No, if you're righteous, you're not skilled. If that's just what you have, it's not a skill. So that girl who got married, she's a virgin, and she's wondering, what is it that happened to me? She was a virgin without skills. The Bible recorded the 10. I love that story. The 10 virgins. 5 were foolish, 5 were wise. 10 of them were righteous. 10 of those, they were righteous. 10 of them. They were all righteous. So it's not about righteousness. I'm saying really. It's about foolishness and wisdom. So your decision would actually reflect this. That's what your decision will reflect. So it's your communication culture, your education, and then we go to the last one, your spirituality. Your decision on spirituality is something that will affect what it is that happens to your child. Now, I'm not saying your decision on religion. I didn't say your decision on religion. Your decision on spirituality. Who you know. Umi say I try to make it light. Yes, I'm really trying. Before I will scare the incoming yadas, yeah? Incoming yadas are going to just listen to me today and say, hey, where do I? So I needed to make it soft, yeah? So, but come to the inner circle. There are a lot of things that, honestly speaking, I cannot share outside of it. I cannot. If I do, you will come and beat me. You will find me in my house. Come and beat me. I believe you me. I like my life as it is today. Even if I share it, I call it strong meat. The inner circle parents know what I'm saying. So it will be like feeding a baby with apple. You know what apple is, but you feed a baby, you put the baby with apple. It won't work. I will break whatever it is that is the only this thing. So let's keep at it. Let's talk about spirituality. Now, there are skills to spirituality. There are skills to spirituality, right? And it is important for you to understand that is a determining factor to who you are raising, the child you're raising. So when I say skills of spirituality, I'm not talking about going to church, praying. That's not what I'm talking about. Chai, I'm looking for a way to share this thing. Spiritual skills. Do you know that hearing from God is a key spiritual skill on your journey to raising a child intentionally? I know a lot of us will say, what is it? Is it everybody that will hear from God? if you are not able to hear from God, this journey go tough. Oh. And it's a valid skill. And a lot of us cannot hear. See, it's not about saying, oh, I'm a spiritual person, I'm in church, I am in. There's a lot. There is a lot. And if your child, all right, if your child is going to be raised to make impact. Now, these decisions, these 5 decisions, is what gets your child to the place of impact, not the place of obedience. They are two different things. The place of impact is actually a higher place. It's not a place of, it's not. So if your parenting is still about my children are not obeying me, they obeyed me, they didn't obey me, they didn't ask me, they didn't do chores, they didn't, if that is what they are mundane things, they are not things that you should, they are not even things that, that's, you're still at the place where you're still at the level of the ordinary. You're still at the level of the ordinary. These are things that will determine where you're going. I tell you a thing. I've been studying the story of Moses. And for every time I get to Jochebed, she was not even mentioned so many times. She was not mentioned so many times. What I'm sharing with you is not church going. It's not my pastor said. That's what I'm sharing with you. It's deeper than that. And the Bible said, how did she connect to know that her son has been called to save the children of Israel? It was just a prophecy that went out. It could have been anybody. It could have been anybody who could connect to their child being the Messiah of that time. There was no prophecy. There was none to Jochebed. There was none. Nobody came and said, I prophesy this child is going to be the one. She didn't hear. She knew. She knew that this child is a Messiah. See, your spirituality, your ability to hear from God is what will actually project yourself, position your child as a Messiah to their world. Your child cannot become a Messiah without your spirituality, your discerning ability being at the core. So she just looked at the child. She just knew. She just connected herself to a prophetic agenda. And she by herself made her child a deliverer of a whole nation, 3 million people. She saw. What can you see? It is not what your pastor can see. What can you forget all those naming, all those praying for child? They are religious things. They are religion. Are they bad? No. Is religion bad? No. Religion is not bad. I'm for religion. I'm for doctrine. Believe you me, they are good. But if you stop there, it is what is going to put you down. So in that thing, if you read the story of Manuel, he said the Bible said that the father, right, Manuel, Samson's father, went to go and look for a curriculum. Do you know that your child has a curriculum to their messiahness? What your child? Do you know that everybody have been called a Messiah? Every single one person. The people who cannot fulfill their messiahness, like the messiahness is my word. Yes, we are creating inner circle dictionary. Yes, the people that created dictionary are human beings, right? Just like we're writing scriptures, we're writing our words. Messiahness, right? Everybody has it. But whether your child will fulfill their messiahness is a determining, you determine that. Because it is in what you can see. Do you know that if Mary couldn't see that Jesus was a Messiah, Jesus would have become this person? What can you see? Your child has a blueprint. There is something your child has been called for. There is something your child has been named for. God has given a blueprint. It's a puzzle. If your child can't fit it in, you can't, you know, you can be God with there will be a replacement. There's a prophecy already laid on ground. You know, I was sharing the parents in the last cycle the other day, and I said, talents have been shared. Talents have been shared. Abilities have been shared. I don't know what you're fighting for. Can you connect? Can you actually connect? It's in that connection. You actually make a decision to say, you know what? I can connect to this thing. As in, I know that this prophecy is from, you know, many of us cannot even believe what we see. We can't believe it. I know it's usually funny when people tell me, I'm a Christian, I go to church, I'm a Muslim, I pray how many times, I'm always praying. Oh, parenting is about prayer. You need to pray every night. You can pray night and day, and you will not be able to see. You can pray night and day, and you will not see. Can you hear really that thing about your child? So your spirituality skill is a core factor. Because if you cannot connect to see the prophecy of your child, in fact, you even use your mouth self and destroy the child. And you know the interesting thing? The interesting thing about Jochebed is that she didn't even live to see that child. She was never mentioned when Moses was taking the children of Israel. We don't even know whether she was alive or not. But Moses was 80 damn years. When you think about Messiahness, there is no end to it. So you are able to actually key into the core of who your child should be. The reason you would treat your child like an animal, the reason you would beat your child and blood is coming out, is because you don't even know who you're raising. The reason you will say, the child has done something, I will discipline the child, is because you're not even disciplined enough to know that you need to put the child in a basket to sell on water, to go to the other side, and yet come out in desire. You're still looking at the things that are not important. So you need to begin to ask yourself today, what can I see? It is in what you can see. That's how you can raise a child. And that's why I say their kings are not raised anyhow. There is no anyhowness. I was telling the women in the Masterpiece program, there is no anyhowness in raising of a king. You know, go and read about it anywhere. Even in the kings in the world today. So while you're sitting down and saying, there is no template in raising any child, there is no manual. The manual has been given to those who want to collect manual. Those who want to collect manual. The manual has been given. It is only those who want manual that get it. But the manual is there for you to ask for it. And that's why God is an interesting God. Because He's giving you power as a co-creator. He needs you to get the manual in your hands. To get the manual in your hands. So the manual is there. Have you collected yours? It is those who have not collected theirs. They are the ones who say, forget this thing they're sharing. They want you to enter a class. They want you don't know about it. You are not aware. Some of us have collected manual, written, scribbled about who it is that we are raising. They are there. They are there. It's not kalo. When you get into the inner circle, one of the things I share with parents in the inner circle is that this is knowledge that gives you the exactitude of the outcome. It's not, we're not sure. Are you sure that when I finish doing this thing, it's going to come with it? No. We're not even begging you. Because there has to be slaves that will serve the kings at every point in time. So is everybody going to hear what I'm saying? No, not everybody heard John the Baptist anyway. And the Bible said there's none that have risen greater than John the Baptist. Yet, not be everybody listening to him. So, of course, the Bible also says that the greater than the John the Baptist, the Solomons are here. So in our times, we also have the greater than the Solomons today, the greater than the John the Baptist, the Isaiahs, the Joshuas. They are here in our generation. So some people have collected the templates. Some people are arguing, why do you say that parenting has a curriculum? There's no curriculum, we're just doing it however it is. Oh, share. So if you're not spiritually skilled, you cannot collect that curriculum far. And then, if you're not discerning, which is the wisdom that comes with spiritual skillfulness, you cannot get that template to the end. And if you have lack knowledge, you will become weary because you will not know the way. So it's one thing to get the blueprint. It's another thing to be skilled enough to discern what it is that you want me to do with it. It's another thing to have the knowledge to actually carry it out, to implement it to the end. Manuel collected template and blueprint. He didn't carry it to the end though. He implemented it halfway. The worst thing is that when you carry this curriculum and it's halfway, where it stops, your child can be destroyed. Your child can be destroyed in the middle where you stop. That's what happened to Samson. A curriculum was there, a blueprint, codes, everything given. It got to a point where a parent who didn't understand that he was a matriarch, who didn't understand that the codes are to the end. And then Samson came and said, he pleased thou me. Hey, the guy stepped back, and that was it. So it is one thing to get the blueprint. It's another thing to discern how it is that you're going to actually have that blueprint worked. And then it's another thing to have the knowledge. So you can have the blueprint and your child will still not be able to manifest. Because you do not have the prerequisite knowledge. Because you do not have the wisdom to discern. How do I apply it? When? And how do you actually do it? So that's it. Mary followed to the end. If you have a template, you need to get to the end of the template. And how do you get to the end of the template? Knowledge. If Manuel had the knowledge that not getting that thing to the end, preparing the child for the times, Manuel wouldn't have actually had Samson go the way he did. Because Samson was a mighty man, destroyed just by not being able to understand that even marriage was part of the template. You ask questions like, what are you saying? Oh, are you going to? You don't know about it. When you're giving a template, it is pursued to the end. The implementation to stay to the end. If you stop at the middle, you did, it's nobody that you did. So if you're running, I've done this course, I've done all of this. Right now, I just want to relax. Don't be like Manuel. You've gotten the template, you have it, and you feel that this is the time for you to now go to sleep. I hope they will not barber your child's hair and remove their eyes along the way. And death is not the only thing that can happen to anybody, really. The fact that a child cannot make impact is the first death that happens to anyone. So if you're raising a child who can make impact, it means that is it that you don't have a curriculum or you have it, you are not fully implementing it, and you have it and you can't run to the end. Or you have it and people have told you that's not it. Put it on one side. You relax. Thank you, Dr. Malala. At your own risk. At your own risk. So even if you run the race to 50 years, right? I was telling the women in the masterpiece, one of the devotional, I said the minimum is 100 years. That's what Abraham gave when it came to steadfastness. The minimum is 100 years. That's what the minimum is. So if you're running this race and you're telling yourself, oh, that we have reached, we have arrived, settling in success. That's what happened to Manuel's father. Samson's father, Manuel. So that's it. The premature popping. You pop when you're not supposed to pop. You hook. Or you even say, what is What is all these things that they are saying? Don't relax. So it's not me that said it. Follow to the end. If there is a cross, carry it. Mary was at the place at the leg of the cross when Jesus was there. If there is a cross, carry it. Carry that cross and make sure that the weakness of your child is refined and it becomes gold. That's part of the cross. Yeah? That's part of the cross. So parenting is legacy. Parenting is part of the things that you pass on to your child. You are a curriculum. These are the 5 decisions that you need to make as a parent that is going to change every facet of the life of your child. I've said a lot of things today that might have confused you. I apologize, especially for those who are not in the inner circle. There are a lot of things that I threw in between the lines. I tried very much not to do that, but I really do apologize. But this is a call to you to come and get a template, or come and fortify your template, or come and make sure that you're running your template to the end. May your template not stop at the middle. All right? May your template be fully templated and fully implemented, so that they will not baba your child's head and remove their eyes. Please, if you are here and you're listening to me and you're not in this parenting academy, join now. Because it's a need of the hour. Parenting today, it's now an impact journey. Parenting today is now a calling. I don't even think that the parents in this generation understand it. When you become a parent in this generation, you're now called. I told the parents in the inner circle, I said, all of us are now Ndaboski preachers. Every single one of us. All of us are now called. All of us are now prophets. All of us are now pastors. All of you are called teachers. All of you are called. That's what parenting takes you to. That's who you have become. And if you're not equipped, if you're not equipped to carry out these different, caps that you wear, right? If you are not equipped, then you are going to crash. You have heard. Like I always tell the parents in the inner circle, Dr. Happiness, you have heard. You'll be judged by the things you hear. On the last day, God is going to sit here and say, did you hear? You will hear. You have heard. And I know that you have heard me. So me and you will stand on that day. And they will ask you that day that one Wendy Ologe street life. Did she say this thing or not? You say, yes, God, she did. So let your template be templated. Don't just keep your template and just let it run with yourself. When you also already have a template, you have a blueprint. Please come and get knowledge to implement to the end. It is the race. Reward is for those who run to the finish line. It's not for those who are actually on the way. Alrighty. So that is it for today's class. I hope that you learned something. All right. And we're opening up pre-order for my new latest books, 4 of them. And we're going to have them on Amazon as well, for Amazon people on Amazon to also be able to get their copies. All right. These books are the discipline. Discipline is not an emergency. Sex educate your child like a pro volume 3. Solving family problems through effective communication, and raising the emotionally skilled child. Raising the emotionally skilled child. We're currently going to announce a wait list. There's going to be a flash pre-order sale on Monday, just on Monday, only on Monday. After Monday, the pre-order proceeds till the end of the month. All right. So there are a lot of, I hear that the team has a lot of things for that, sale day. It's just one day. We're just opening it up so that you can have the opportunity to pre-order at a discounted price just one day. We're not doing long, no, one day. And in that one day, there are a lot of perks. You're going to get things like, some courses like walking your child through puberty, full-blown course, and even worksheets, and, so many other perks that is there. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. All right. and all of the things. Those books have been written in a transformative way that will change lives. I know, because they are not just ordinary books, they are books that have been written to transform. And if you've not read any of my books, this is the time for you to start getting them, start getting our, or to also be able to get your template. So this is Sex Educate Your Child, Volume 2. This is Volume 1. This is the book we're currently reading in Level 1. Raising the Independent Thinking Child. This is a blockbuster. I will stop there. But if you read this book and you don't get the kind of value, in fact, that it will overwhelm you, come back and tell me. I will do a refund for you. So this is Connect to Correct. This is where you should start. If you're just starting your intentional parenting journey, this is where you start. And we have the parenting launch plan. This is how you can craft that curriculum we're talking about. How you can craft that template we talked about. All right. So this is how to love your child more. This is walking your child through puberty. We created a full course on walking your child through puberty, and those who pre-order on Monday will get this full course, right? Of course, can lead you to getting the book. We have resolving sibling rivalry. We have from yelling to calm, and then we have the discipline that works. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. Somebody said Amazon books arrive bigger and wider. I don't know what Amazon does with us. I think it's their print policy and all of that. All right, since we do not have control. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am grateful that you took your time, 1 hour, 10 minutes, and you were here. I hope that you will be here tomorrow at 8 a.m., where you are also streaming live with us at My Intentional Parenting Journey. Do not forget to join the Inner Circle program. The Inner Circle program is one of the best things that can happen to you on your parenting journey. No missing words. I know with exactitude what the outcome of the things that will happen to you in the Inner Circle will be. I know it like I know my name. Thank you so much for joining me. Somebody said, when do they get my books? You can get them anywhere you are. Send the chat to the number on the stream and just take a screenshot and send the chat to them and ask where you can get our book, or check our store on Amazon if you're outside of Nigeria. If you just put Wendy Ologe books on Amazon, you will find me. I am the only Wendy Ologe ever. Thank you, and do have an amazing rest of the day. See you tomorrow at 8 a.m.